We see a woman in a hospital who is about to give birth. The hospital staff is very happy for her, but she doesn't want a baby. Her husband is standing next to her and wants a boy, but it turns out to be a girl, and he is disappointed. Some years later, we see the girl whose name is Matilda reading books on a library bus. The woman who owns the bus, named Mrs. Phelps, says that it was closing time an hour ago, so it is time for Matilda to leave. She gets home, and her parents are arguing over money. Because Matilda never got to go to a real school, there is an inspector here to check if she gets homeschooling. Her parents never did that, so they are lying to get out of the situation. A teacher from the school she would go to if her parents don't pass the inspection is named Miss Honey. Matilda is in the hallway, and Miss Honey gets to her. She asks Matilda if she wants to learn in a real school, but Matilda goes away because her parents don't want her to give away that she is not getting homeschooled. The inspector knows that something is wrong and wants Matilda's parents to bring her to a real school. The father of Matilda called the school and said to the headmistress that Matilda is a troublemaker, and she should be very strict with her. Matilda is mad and secretly puts some green hair paint in her dad's hair tonic. He puts the tonic on his hair, and his hair becomes green. He goes to Matilda's room, but she pretends to sleep, so her father thinks that there's just something wrong with the tonic. In the morning, she gets to the school, but there is a lock on the gate. Mrs. Phelps gets there and says that school doesn't start for another hour. Matilda is very excited because Miss Honey will teach her to make her own stories and write her own books. She already has a story in mind and tells it to Mrs. Phelps. It is about two lovers who work in a circus. The man is an escapologist and the woman is an acrobat. They tried to get a kid, but they had no luck. As a coping mechanism, they are doing more dangerous stunts every day. Matilda wants to talk more about her story, but school begins and she gets out of the bus. There is another new kid at the school named Lavender, and they go in together. A girl from an older year named Hortensia goes to the new kids and says that this school is a living nightmare and the world as they know it is over. Matilda and Lavender get a tour of the school, and the thing that stands out is the multiple punishment places the school has. The bell rings, and the headmistress of the school, named Agatha, is looking through a camera to check if all the students are in class. Matilda and Lavender have 5 seconds to get to class before they get punished, and lucky for them, they make it. Miss Honey introduces them to the whole class and the new kids sit down. The teacher asks who will polish the chalkboard off for her, and Matilda will do it. Instead of erasing everything what was written on the board, she solves the equations on it. Now Miss Honey knows that she is a genius because the equation was for students multiple years above her. Matilda says that she likes math, but what she really loves are books, so she is even better at reading. After class, Miss Honey gets into the headmistress room. She says that Matilda is a genius, and she should be put in a class with the 11th graders immediately. Agatha says that that is not going to happen because it is not normal, and she wants all the children to stay between the lines. Matilda gets home and asks her parents if they want to hear about her day. They say no, and even start ignoring Matilda. They are mad because according to them, Matilda was speaking out of line, so as a punishment her father tries to rip one of her books in half, but he is too dumb to do it successfully. In the morning, she gets out of bed and is happy to go to school again. But first, she takes some super glue and puts it in her father's hat. She gives the hat to her father, and he puts it on and gets out of the house. At school, she is talking with some friends, and one boy tries to use telekinesis on a small can. He can't do it, and the conversation shifts. Another boy says that it is not good to be smart in the school because that doesn't fit in between the lines, so the headmistress hates it. Matilda says that that can't be true, but Hortensia says that if you do something wrong here, you get sent to Choki. She explains that that is an awful place in the woods with pointy spikes. One boy is running from the headmistress because she thinks that the boy poured a can of treacle on the headmistress chair. All the kids hide him under their blazers, and the headmistress gets there. Matilda says that the kid is under the blazers where he has been sleeping for the past hour, so he couldn't have poured the treacle on the chair. The headmistress is angry that she couldn't find the real perpetrator and picks a random girl out of the crowd who will get the punishment. The headmistress grabs the girl by her pigtails and swings her in the air and throws her away. After school, Matilda is talking with Mrs. Phelps and continues talking about her story. The two lovers from the circus are about to do the most dangerous trick in their career, and there's a big crowd. The escapologist gets on the podium and says that the act is canceled because his wife is finally pregnant. The audience is happy for them, and they applaud even though they won't get a show. The story is not over yet because the circus will not get money if the lovers don't do the act, and there is even a contract that binds the lovers to do it. The escapologist's evil stepsister is the person that made the contract, and you would think that she will rip the contract in half because they are family and the acrobat is pregnant. But she doesn't do that, and the couple still has to do the act. Matilda says that she hasn't written more of the story, and Mrs. Phelps is disappointed. The next day, Matilda is in the school cafeteria when Miss Honey comes up to her and says that she has brought books for Matilda so she can read them. Matilda hugs the teacher, but they get interrupted by the headmistress. Agatha says that Matilda has stolen a piece of her chocolate pie and is about to punish her when Bruce lets the fattest burp rip. The smell of the burp is in the air and travels to the headmistress, and it is the smell of chocolate. Agatha comes up to Bruce and says that as long as he likes the cake, he won't get punished. The cook of the school comes out with the rest of the cake, and Bruce has to eat it all. He eats it all, and Miss Honey is very happy for him, but the headmistress still sends Bruce to Chokey. Matilda thinks it is not fair because Bruce ate the whole cake, so he shouldn't get punished. Agatha responds and says that Matilda will be punished later for speaking out of line, but first she takes Bruce with her to Chokey. Matilda is so mad that it looks like she can make doors move with her mind. Later that day, we see the things that some of the kids want to do when they grow up. Then we see Miss Honey, and she says that she wants to be braver when she's older. Matilda gets to Mrs. Phelps and continues her story. The lovers are about to do the dangerous act, and the acrobat is climbing on a ladder. She swings into the air, and while that is going on, the escapologist tries to escape the chains and catch her in the air. He catches her, but something goes wrong and the acrobat falls and breaks all of her bones. She is still able to give birth to a baby, but she dies shortly after. The escapologist asks his stepsister to come live with him to help him with the kid, but when the escapologist is at work, the stepsister is very cruel to her. The library lady is shocked that the story took a dark turn, but Matilda explains that it is just a story, and it is not real, of course. When Matilda is home, her parents have a lot of cash in front of them, because her father scammed some people by selling a broken car. She calls his father a horrible cheat, and her mom thinks that she talks that way to her father because of the books she reads. The father will go to Mrs. Phelps and say that Matilda is not allowed to take books home from the bus anymore. Matilda is in her room and continues the story. She says that the kid was crying because of what the horrible, evil stepsister had done when her father comes in. The escapologist hugs his kid, and we see that Matilda pictures herself as the kid in the story. The escapologist is mad at his evil stepsister, and we see that he has unlocked telekinesis because he was super mad and uses it on a trash can. The father goes away to try and punish his stepsister, but he never returned. In the real world, we see that Matilda's trash can is broken too. When she is at school, everyone is proud of her because she stood up against the headmistress. They even say that Matilda is starting a revolution. The headmistress hears this and is not happy. Miss Honey is giving a music lesson when the headmistress gets in. Agatha says that all the kids need to follow her and change into their PE clothing. They get to an obstacle course, and Agatha challenges them to a race to show how good she is. The headmistress wins, but Miss Honey stands up to her and says that this isn't teaching, but just stupid. While this is happening, Lavender puts a newt in the headmistress's water. Agatha gets scared by it and picks a random kid who will be punished for this. Matilda is mad at the headmistress, and Agatha comes up to her. Matilda is getting even angrier, and she uses telekinesis and hits the headmistress with the water cup. The newt was still in the cup, and it goes into her clothes. She tries to get it out, and she runs away. Matilda shows her telekinesis to Miss Honey, and Miss Honey is shocked. After school, they are talking with each other, and they get to Miss Honey's house. The teacher tells Matilda her sad life story, and says that her father and mother died when she was young, so her aunt took care of her. The aunt said that she now owns the house of Miss Honey's father. That's why Miss Honey is living in a small shed. It is almost the exact story as Matilda made up, and Miss Honey even has the scarf that the acrobat was always wearing. Matilda is freaking out because she thought that she was making it up, but it turns out to be a real story. Miss Honey also says that the aunt in her story is the headmistress. Matilda runs away and will confront the headmistress tomorrow. But first, she goes to Chokey and breaks it. Matilda gets home, and her father says to pack her bags because the people who he scammed know where they live, and they want to kill them. Matilda is sad because she wants to help Miss Honey. It is her last day here and goes to the library bus, but there is a piece of paper on the door that says that it is not open. But Mrs. Phelps still wants to know the ending of Matilda's story. Matilda writes that not all stories have a good ending and walks to school. She is practicing her telekinesis, and she is getting quite good at it. At school, she sees that the play rack is broken, and the headmistress of the school says that she broke it because someone had broken and vandalized Choki, so it is payback. She also says that Miss Honey's class needs to go to the cafeteria immediately. The headmistress says that the kids have a spelling test, and that the ones who have a question wrong will be put in the new build Choki. She quizzes some kids, and they all have it correct. The headmistress wants to punish at least one kid, and tasks Lavender to spell an almost impossible word, so she has it wrong and needs to go to Choki. One kid thinks it is not fair and stands up and spells the word cat wrong on purpose. The other kids stand up and do the same thing. The headmistress pulls on a rope and reveals that she built more Chokis so everyone can get into one. The headmistress says that every one of them has failed, but Matilda takes a chalk with her telekinesis and pretends to be the ghost of the father of Miss Honey and writes that the ghost will kill the headmistress if she doesn't leave the school immediately. The headmistress thinks it is just a cheap little trick like the escapologist used to do and pushes the chalkboard on the ground. Matilda takes the hair of the headmistress and makes pigtails of it. She takes the headmistress by her pigtails and swings her around in the air. The headmistress' keys fall on the ground and Miss Honey takes them and says that it is her school now. Everyone is happy and starts to sing and dance. They take the statue of the headmistress down when Matilda's parents get here to pick her up because they are moving. Matilda thanks Miss Honey for the wonderful time she had with her and is about to get in the car when Miss Honey says that Matilda can stay here and she will adopt her. Matilda's parents like the idea and they say their goodbyes. Her parents ride away and Matilda runs to Miss Honey and hugs her. Later, Matilda tells the ending of the story to Mrs. Phelps, and we see that Miss Honey even got her parents' house back. The school is a happy place now, and the movie ends. Thank you for watching the movie Matilda with us. If you liked it, subscribe.